The cannabis community is something that people want to give you the knowledge. You go out, you meet people, you talk to people, and they're really excited to share what they know about the plant.
Welcome to StaffBuffalo's Pain Points Podcast.
Welcome to the next episode of the Pain Points Podcast. Here I have Melissa Moore. She is from SUNY Niagara, and she is an assistant professor in the Cannabis department and in the Horticulture department. Did I screw that up?
No.
Okay.
You're good.
So, Melissa, how did you start your career?
Yeah, so my career started probably way back in my early 20s. I'm originally from Buffalo, New York. I got my undergraduate degree in biology, and at first I went into animals, and I was studying monkeys down in Panama.
This was awesome.
Yeah, it was fun, and then I worked at the zoo, and then I decided that I would go to plants instead of animals because you get more days off with plants.
Oh, yeah.
Versus animals.
That's a really good point.
You always got to feed. You still got to feed animals on Christmas, right?
Yeah, true.
So I got into plants, and I was working on a farm, an organic farm. It was me and this other woman, and we did 9 acres. We farmed 9 acres and brought all the crops to the market to 3 different counties out in California. And about age 22, 21, I moved out to Northern California.
Nice.
And so I worked on our organic farm for years, bringing crops to the market. And with that, being a farmer in the traditional sense, I got to know the cannabis community as well out there in Northern California. And then I just used my skill helping them, and then eventually gained their trust and did more work for them, and then grew my own plants. And then legalization came about in California. That was about 2016 that had occurred. And things started changing for everyone's livelihoods out there. I was beginning a business in analytics, Emerald Triangle Analytics, where I was helping people test their cannabis. That was a little hard to make the numbers match, though, up in Mendocino County. Like, sure, there's a lot of cannabis, but there's not that many people. So also I was having things happen in my family back here in Buffalo. So legalization was just happening in New York that year, so I decided to move back to be with my family here in New York, in Buffalo.
And then welcome back then.
Yeah.
So then how did you end up deciding to go into education at SUNY Niagara?
I've always liked education. I've always liked sharing knowledge and learning knowledge. I'm a lifelong learner, really.
That's great.
Like, if I could do anything my whole life, it would be reading.
I love that. Now, what kind of books do you typically read?
I read a lot of nonfiction.
Yeah.
Kind of boring.
That's okay. What kind of nonfiction?
Because I like
historical.
No plants.
Plants, just plants. You just like to learn about biology, learn about
do.
plants.
Yeah.
But that's great. So your hobby is literally what you do day in, day out.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So you're like plants, and more
Yeah.
plants.
Yeah. And then I get to tell people about what I learned. So
that's
it's
great.
wonderful.
And then you get to share all of your knowledge. So then can you tell me a little bit about the SUNY Cannabis program and what you're doing up there?
Yeah, so the SUNY Cannabis program has been going on for 5 years now. It's becoming quite large. It's really nice. We keep expanding it. Right now we've got about 9 courses written just for cannabis in our horticulture department and in our culinary department as well. In our horticulture department, it's not just horticulture. We also have some classes on processing as well. And one on society and compliance. So you get to learn the laws of federal and statewide. And we're getting a hands-on experience there as well. We're bringing in a cultivation unit, so we'll be growing hemp on campus so students can get some hands-on experience that way with the plant. And then we're also building an extraction lab, where we'll be doing ethanol extraction, ice water extraction. We'll have some freeze dryers, some vacuum ovens to play with. And
That sounds like so much fun. And it's really taking the education from just academic to now it's hands-on. You can plant the plant, you can extract the plant, you can cook with the plant. It's the whole kind of kit and caboodle.
Absolutely.
Which I think is great.
It really is. It took us a few years to get there, but we're finally getting there with some hands-on experience with them.
But you're making such progress, and every time you have the SUNY Niagara Cannabis Conference, it is so much fun, it is so educational, and really the culinary component is phenomenal as well. And I get to eat, so it's wonderful.
That's one of the best parts is the good food, right?
Yes, absolutely. So then, if you had a lot of pain points, even just coming into the legalization space, like there was probably different pain points in California versus New York, and what have you learned along the way?
Yeah, I think the most painful part was that switch over from legacy to legal, right? I watched a lot of friends lose their livelihoods over it. I voted for legalization out in California, and a lot of people got slack for it because it really destroyed a lot of people's lives, really, their careers. A lot of farms went down over it, but at the same time, the way I look at it is it's less people going to jail and more people getting the medicine, right? Especially to our elderly and our sick who can really gain some really good effects from it.
The farms that made it versus the farms that did not make it, was there like a delineating factor, or did they just not want to, especially after all the years of legacy growing, go into the full regulated world? What were some of the hesitations?
I would say a lot of people really wanted to go into the legal world, right? We didn't want to be lying. That was another big painful point with the legacy world, is that having to lie about what you're doing. Like, everyone was a carpenter out there without even picking up a hammer, you know? It's had to make up businesses and stuff, and that sucked. We want to be paying taxes, actually.
Absolutely.
You know?
You're trying to find ways to pay taxes. You're trying to legitimize.
Let me give you money. And so there were a lot of farms that really tried, but they got hung up on regulations, getting their permits and their licenses. One big difference between California and New York is California required that you got a state license and then a county permit on top of it. Where here in New York, they saw that occur in California and decided not to do that. In New York, we just get a state license and that's it. And that helps a little bit. But we obviously have our own problems here in New York. Introducing a new industry, we always will, right? But I would say a lot of people fell because of the high taxes and the lack of help, where a lot of small businesses, they get a lot of help. They get grants, they get loans, banks will work with them, and cannabis people don't get that at all, right? And then they can't even mail their product. They can't take it out of state. That's a huge problem too. So.
Especially as state by state is doing the legalization, everyone's kind of trying to get all in at the same time, so there's probably more supply than demand at points too, just from the legalization. So that's really fascinating. Now, in New York, you have seen the two differences between California and New York. Are there other things that New York did learn from the different states, or are there things that maybe they could tweak and make better?
I see where New York really tried to look at other states and take some learning from. I think that New York really tried to help the small business people, although it didn't really work out as they imagined, and they're not getting the amount of help that they wished that they would have. As far as like with DASNY, we saw DASNY fall apart with that. Card program took a long time to roll out. People were paying rent at places they didn't even be able to operate out of, and they didn't even know if they could operate out of it, paying 6 months of rent or something like that. But they tried, and I really appreciate that. And they're absolutely building the plane while flying it. And we see lots of problems with that, but at the same time, the other alternative is build it without flying it. And we can't sit around waiting.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
So.
you got to actually get some movement behind it.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's quite a lot of pain points. I mean, especially for the small businesses navigating everything and the regulations changing and just kind of staying on top of it as a full-time job.
Yeah. I just saw that they put out a grant for the small business people, the card people. So, they're trying.
They're trying.
Yeah.
They're trying.
Yeah,
and hopefully it's going to get to where people need it and can be successful from it. Yeah. So then, can you tell me a little bit more about SUNY Niagara and the type of people that tend to go into the program, and then what they tend to leave with? Like, what types of jobs do they get after, and what would be the benefit of going?
Yeah, so right now, jobs are coming.
Yeah, they
right? We had a lot of licenses put out in the past year, and I'm getting a lot of calls saying, hey, I'm looking for dispensaries opening up right now. So a lot of entry-level jobs right now with bud tending. And I'm seeing some cultivators open up as well. I think we'll see more in the next 6 months. A lot of our micro businesses, they're barely starting up. They still have to get their feet underneath them. And I think in the next few years, we'll see them grow, and that'll be fantastic. right? But really, it's a retail processing space right now that I'm seeing a lot of the jobs.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's a great way to really learn about cannabis in general and be able to pass along the knowledge to people that are also brand new to it, which I think is so important from like the bud tender standpoint of being able to explain just to any old person that comes in, like, hey, this is what I'm trying to get out of the benefit of the plant. And I think that that's fascinating too.
Yeah, that's what our program is great for, is really getting that knowledge for the bud tender to relay to the customers. Our courses, we offer them online and through workforce development, so you don't actually have to be an enrolled student to take our courses. You could just take one course and through workforce development and take it online, so you can just gain just a little bit of information to use at your job. It's really fantastic.
And I think information is key, especially in a brand new industry, a brand new space like this. The more you know, the more you can bring it into your organization that you're working for, the more you can make sure that even the compliance stuff is taken care of, because of course you want to do that in order to have a successful business. So I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, we get all ages in the program. It's fantastic, from, traditional students coming right out of high school all the way up to like seniors that are just looking for information to better grow at home.
Yeah.
I get a lot of those, and those are some of my favorite students.
Because
too.
they're in it.
Yeah.
Like they want to learn everything. Yeah, I love that.
Absolutely.
And I noticed too in the culinary program, because they had the competition 2 years ago, and I noticed that was a variety of people as well. Like they were just into cooking with cannabis, and it was just so fun to watch them and the passion that they had behind the dishes that they made, which I loved.
Yeah, it's really fantastic to be able to have that in our neighborhood.
Yeah,
You do
no
not
kidding.
find that throughout the States.
Can you actually, and I know that the culinary program is actually like well renowned. So can you tell me a little bit about the SUNY Niagara culinary program?
Yeah, so right now we have there's 2 courses right now for the cannabis culinary. And if you take the 2 courses, one is a lecture, the other one is a lab, so you spend all day in the kitchen. And if you complete those, then you earn a American Federation Culinary Certificate for that. But he's also, Chef Nate developed a full certificate, a 30 credit certificate that you can gain that should be available in the next coming year. It just has to pass the marks in SUNY, but that'll be available soon. And so you'll really get put into the space, really learning how to be a good chef. And
That's great.
It is. It's really fantastic.
And it's just so interesting to learn about the different, and I just went to the one dayer, and just to learn about the different extraction methods, the different ways to cook with it, the CBD, THC balances, and all of that. It's true plant chemistry. It's just so fascinating to me, and how it activates, and like when it activates. And that was just one day, that whole course.
Yeah, it's so fun bringing those hands-on demonstrations, right to the audience, and them being able to share how you dose, because I think that's a spot that people are still kind of uncomfortable with. It was how to dose products so that you can share it with your friends and stuff. So
Absolutely.
we really try to get the experts to share that information with the crowd.
And similarly, what about someone that is just kind of, hey, I always thought it was illegal, it was bad, I never tried it, and someone who maybe has some things that they could really benefit, maybe some pain, sleep, anxiety. How would you recommend them educate themselves and kind of just learn about the plant?
Yeah, so we have the medical applications of cannabis course in the fall. That's in person and online, so anyone can sign up for it. You don't need any background. We keep it at a level that anyone can learn something from it. And it's really focused towards just the regular person being able to either help themselves or help someone else be able to use it successfully. How to dose with it, how to find the right cannabinoids, terpenes, and all of that, how it works in our body so that we use it correctly and we use it responsibly, how to recognize signs when people aren't using it responsibly, and stuff like that. So that's medical applications of cannabis, and that's available in the fall semester. And then for our conference every year, we really try to go out and find some of the best doctors, teach about it, to bring it in and really talk about the certain ailments that it can be used for.
And they fly people in from all over North America, so, and maybe even further. And it's so fascinating because they all come at it from a different perspective. So how they even found the plant, what they use it for, how they treat their patients, and just the education surrounding it is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah. Some people, they've heard about it, but they just don't know how to use it. Or, maybe they have someone that they really love that really needs some help with like anxiety or sleep or pain or something like that. Yeah.
And when I mentioned the cannabinoid system to my mother, who is a nurse, she's like, what? So really, they never really taught anything about the cannabinoid system until now, really.
Yeah, and it's hard for them to teach it now because they have so much material to cover. I've talked to the nursing area in our school, and they try to slide it in when they can, but there's just so much material they have to cover.
Exactly.
That it's really hard for them to fit it in. And even for them to take the medical applications class, they just don't have time in their schedule to even fit it in. So.
And I think that it's such a great opportunity as you're learning learning about the primary medicine. Then you can really learn about, well, this is the organic, this is the plant medicine, this is the alternatives that you can absolutely look at instead of just the medical side.
Absolutely.
Or, well, the pharmaceutical side, I should say.
It can really, especially with the cost of medicine these days, it can really help people
when you can grow your own
symptoms. Yes.
Yes.
That's wonderful about my classes too, is being able to teach that home grower how to make their medicine at home.
Yes.
Because we also have courses that teach that as well, how to make the products.
And then how do you know, is it about the different plants? Like, I know when I order something and they tell me which terpenes are in there and everything, but then do you test? Like, how do you know which each plant? Do you know that when you plant the seeds because of their heirloom? Like, well, how does all that work?
You know a range when you get the seeds, right? And, just like us, environments and genetics make who we are. Environment and genetics make what the plant is. So you really don't know until the end of the potency, the strength of the metabolites, but in the beginning you know a range, right? And you've got to buy from a reputable breeder. That's what you really got to do.
So that it's consistent and it's very, very well bred.
And it was just a few years ago, it was in 2020 that the FDA put out a memo to say that it's legal to sell cannabis seeds, right? On a federal
and you can ship
level.
them and everything.
Yep. So with that, the breeder market kind of bloomed, and we have a lot of new breeders out there, and you can't trust them all.
Good to know.
So,
That's really good advice.
Yeah, you really gotta even just go into the cannabis forums online, like in social media, and asking them, hey, what's a good seed company, is a great way to find a reputable breeder if you don't have friends that know.
Yeah, and I think specifically the cannabis community is something that people want to give you the knowledge. And so you go out, you meet people, you talk to people, and they're really excited to share what they know about the plant. And so it's really nice to just have like one-on-one conversations with people throughout, which I think is wonderful.
One of the things I've noticed with the SUNY Cannabis Conference of bringing it onto school grounds is other people who don't have any experience with the cannabis industry, meeting the people and seeing how wonderfully nice they are. And how open they are. They're like, wow, I just made so many friends at this conference.
Yes.
Like, everyone just loves talking to everyone.
Yes. I look forward to it every year. And every year I'm like, oh, hey. And every year I have new friends that are there. And it's like throughout the year of just meeting, through the cannabis connections, which is great.
Yeah.
So, I think that anyone that is interested in cannabis, they can just go and ask your local cannabis person, because you probably have one. They were hiding for a few years, but not too much anymore.
Buffalo, we're very special here. We're building a culture here. I mean, we've always kind of had a little bit of one, but being like the little large city that we are, we're able to really build this culture of cannabis. And out of New York State, we're going to have one of the more better communities here.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think it's a lovely community, and like I said, people come from all walks of life that are attracted to the plant. So you can meet people from everywhere, which is great.
It is
in every background.
It is great. It is. Yeah.
So then, is there anything else that you would really let someone know who's curious about the plant, that just kind of, just from your experience over the years and overall what you've learned, what would you kind of want to impart on people?
For people who've never used it before, I really love the slogan, go low and go slow, starting small with that 5 milligram and 10 milligram. With my teachings, I really try to push responsibility with the use of cannabis. I'm not saying that you should stay under 10 milligrams, because I think everyone has their own unique amount, and sometimes 500 milligrams might be what that person needs, right? But as far as exploring, I think that they shouldn't be afraid to try to explore with that 5-10 milligram amount of gummies, and explore with the topicals, the salves and stuff, with the skin treatment. I think that's really a great way to go, especially if you've got anxiety and sleep issues. It can really make a difference in your
The
life.
salves?
No, no,
Yeah.
the anxiety and sleep. It would be
Yeah.
the tinctures or the gummies
Absolutely.
or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or the drinks even.
Oh, the drinks are lovely too.
Yeah.
They taste good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, do you typically suggest smoking or anything like that, or are people usually too afraid of that, and that's why they usually stay away from like, oh, I don't like the stinky or the smoky aspects?
Yeah, I think you got two different categories of people in the community, where you've got people who do really enjoy the inhalation because of the instant relief you get, right? But not everyone likes smoking, and really it's not the healthiest thing for us, and I think it turns a lot of people off as well, right? And they don't seek that medicine thinking that it's bad for you. I know that's not for me because recreational, but it doesn't have to be, right? And I want people to stay open to that because how much it can really help with certain issues, right?
And there's so many different ways. Like the tinctures, you might not like the gummies, but you put the tinctures in a drink or anything really or just right under your tongue. So you can do a lot of different things, which I think is wonderful. And they're just creating new different ways to extract. The testing in New York State is great. So I always say like buy the New York State products. So yeah, all that.
We do have some really great products in New York State. We do.
Yeah, and I like that quite a bit.
Yeah, they're getting better and better.
And they're allowed to do more and more, I think, and then they're just kind of like tightening their processes, and it's just, I don't know, I really like the product that's coming out of New York State. We have such great growing land that it's kind of perfect for cannabis.
Yeah, we do. We'll figure out our cultivars too that work better in our moist falls here. We have an issue with that. But we'll figure it out.
And then what is it? Tell me a little bit more. So the fall is too moist for like another harvest around that time?
Botrytis, we get our mold growing at that time, and it can be hard. Some of our cultivars, they finish kind of late, especially some of our, I hate using the term sativa and indica, but our narrow leaf drug types got the longer flowering season, and that can be difficult in the fall here. And legalization just really occurred. So we don't have that many breeders that have really spent years breeding cultivars that'll work in the northeast area. But we'll get there. We definitely have some out there right now.
Yeah, so then it's based on kind of the seed and the hardiness of the plant if they will be more into the fall and the weather and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
We will. We'll figure it out. It's an exciting time, really. We have a lot of humps and bumps right now to complain about, but it's really exciting to be in New York for it.
Yeah.
Coming from California, I'll bring my California friends out here, and they're just amazed by it. Like, they see the light in our eyes, and they're like, wow, you guys are actually kind of having fun with it out here.
I noticed last year quite a few of the California people were like, wow, you still have like the oomph behind you. Yeah. So that felt good.
Yeah, one of the big differences I noticed with that is that out in California, they already had an industry going. And a lot of people have to lose their livelihoods.
Yes.
So there's still that grieving occurring. Where over here in New York, we never had that grieving. Right.
It's more opportunity.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. With the reservations, the gray market is still pretty alive and well, so that's not really an issue for anyone. And people still get to create here instead of watching it die. They are out there.
That's a completely different perspective.
It really
You're
is.
Right. Yeah.
And it's enjoyable to be here.
To the positive side of things and helping people succeed within the industry versus having to go through the grief, which makes sense.
We have our struggles, but still.
Yeah, but they're hopefully short-term struggles as well, so that people can kind of just get up and running, but maybe a few months later. But yeah, the first few years were really rough for people, and I hope that those people are truly set on a path now for success.
Yeah, I think some of them are still struggling, but
I
try to support them the best I can. That's what I love working at the program, because I really try to keep a good network with the industry partners and really try to support them. That's what I love about the conference and getting them students and interns and stuff out there.
Yeah, and then you have people passionate about the plant, but also that want the education component, want the hands-on component. So people coming out of your program are extremely hireable.
Absolutely.
Extremely hireable.
No matter of fact, I've had a bunch of people who've gotten their micro businesses through my program.
Oh, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
So how do you help them structure the micro grow business?
We have micro credentials. Let's say they don't want to go through all the core, their English, math, and all that. We have micro credentials where you just take the cannabis courses, or they just take them through workforce development. Let's say they don't even need college credits. They're like, I'm an entrepreneur that's nothing. They can just do workforce development and they just take the course, like auditing.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yes.
it really is. It, for a very reasonable fee.
Yeah,
It's only $250.
Wow.
And right now, with the grant that we have from the state, we've been offering full tuition scholarships through the workforce development program
That's
as well.
fantastic.
Yeah,
And anyone can hop in on that.
Yes,
So
yeah,
definitely
there's-
check it out.
Anyone.
Yes.
You just got to fill out a very short application.
Yeah.
And the deadline is August 15th for the fall semester.
Okay.
So
Great. Good
yeah.
to know. Good to know.
you can find it online.
Yes,
It's SUNY
awesome.
Niagara, Cannabis classes, and then you'll get the website and you'll find the
Yes.
application right online.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And now, are there different ways for people that are interested in the cannabis community to become more involved with it that isn't going to SUNY Niagara? Like that's outside of that you would recommend?
We have our meetings and our clubs around Buffalo. Like we've got the Buffalo Cannabis Network, and I think that's a really great thing for the local community to join in. The more people that come, the more culture we build, and for those in business, culture equals revenue too. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
We're involved with them as well, and I just think it's great to kind of keep a constant touch point with the community. Or
Absolutely.
Else, to just keep exchanging ideas.
And I love that it's open, so anyone who just wants to join can come on down and meet everyone there. And every meeting, there's always different people there
Yes.
too. I'm always meeting someone new there.
I know, it's my favorite part.
Yeah.
I like seeing very friendly faces that I'm used to, and then I always like meeting the new faces that come in. And once again, people always say how friendly everybody is, which is lovely.
Yeah, I think building community is the best thing that we can do to create a successful industry here in Western New York.
I completely agree.
And I'm glad to be part of it.
You're a huge part of it, though.
thank you.
Especially like legitimizing it so much through the SUNY system is really important, and it gives the owners of businesses, a really good pipeline of candidates. Where before there wasn't a pipeline of candidates, and you had to really like guess if people could do or would learn,
Absolutely.
and what their passions are. And so when you can combine the education surrounding the passion, those are great employees.
Yeah, SUNY Niagara has been so supportive. It just blows my mind. I don't know if I've ever been so supported in the cannabis industry than I have at SUNY Niagara.
That is so good to hear.
It really is. It's amazing.
I love that.
When you talk about pain points, I'm like, well, at SUNY Niagara, I really don't have any because they've been so supportive. It's really fantastic.
That's
even
wonderful.
people that have no clue even how to pronounce or spell cannabis will still be supportive of me and my program, and it's just fantastic.
Oh, that just continues to kind of fuel you, and
It does.
Yes, I love that.
does.
So besides reading, talking about fueling you, what else fills your bucket? Like, what makes you excited about the day?
Yeah.
Or is it plants and reading? Might be.
I love networking with people. I love changing the lives of students. Like, that's really fantastic. A lot of people come into my program not really knowing where to go. And then by the end, they'll really have a focus and even want to move on to something else. And that's really amazing to see.
That is.
And I still like to get my hands dirty. I'll go out to like people's greenhouses
Get in
and
there.
stuff. And
Get back into the dirt.
Yeah. I'm excited to get our cultivation unit on campus so that we can start growing plants.
That's
and we'll be
wonderful.
growing plants for the culinary. We'll be making products for them, and then hopefully some salves and stuff that other departments can use.
That's great. And then will the culinary be cooking for the people growing? That's what I want to know.
I hope so.
If we're giving you the stuff, you should give us the food.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming to be on the Pain Points podcast today. I truly appreciate you. Now, how can they find you? How can they connect with you?
Yeah, so if you just put into the internet a search engine, just SUNY Niagara Cannabis, you'll get the page. My email and office number is right down at the bottom of the page. Just scroll on down. My name is Melissa Moore, again, and you can email me. That's the best way to reach me. And then I'll get right back to you with more information. We can set up a Zoom meeting, and I can talk to you more about what we have to offer.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of the Pain Points podcast. If you enjoyed what you heard, be sure to follow us so you never miss out on future episodes.